It's already after 1:30. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Corpus Christi B Corporation, also known as the Type B Board. Today's Monday, November 15th, and the time is now 1:32 p.m. We'll start with roll call. Ms. Huerta?
Okay. President Scott Harris.
Here.
Vice President Robert Themes. Secretary Diana Summers is absent. Lee Trujillo.
Here.
Leah Oliveri is absent. John Valls is absent, and Alan Wilson.
Here.
Okay, so we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Item C on the agenda is our public comment. Would anyone like to make a public comment at this time? Okay. And then, Ms. Huerta, have we received any other public comment on the B agenda?
Not on B, no, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Item D is our meeting minutes for our meeting conducted on October 18th, 2021, our regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, and we have a second by Mr. Temez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Item E is our financial report.
Good afternoon, board members, chairman. Heather Hurlbert, Director of Finance. Next slide, please. So these are the financial statements for the final month of the fiscal year, which ends September 30th. These are unaudited financial statements, so these are a good estimation of where we may end the year, but they are not the final ones, but we don't anticipate any large type of adjustments to that. So we began the fiscal year with a total of almost $8 million in our fund balance. Our revenues to date were $7.8 million. Our expenditures to date were $8.1 million, leaving us an ending fund balance of $7.6 million. And that's broken out between the three functions. We have affordable housing, economic development, and streets. Next slide, please. So in the affordable housing, we are anticipating that we'll have an ending fund balance of $1.7 million in affordable housing. We do have commitments in our next 2 years of $1.5 million, and that is broken out between our commitment to Salvation Army and then the infill housing incentive program that will be over fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 2023. Next slide, please. Next one is our economic development fund, and we do have substantial commitments over the spanning through fiscal year 24. We anticipate that we'll end the fiscal year 21 with about a $5 million budget, ending fund balance, sorry. And then next year we'll have not only the revenue that is anticipated from sales tax, but also the $2.5 million that'll be reimbursed from the streets fund due to the loan that was made to them in 2020. Next slide, please. And then in streets, we will be ending the year with about a $300,000 fund balance. We have one project that is planned for next year, along with the transfer from the streets to economic development to reimburse for the amount that was given, the transfer between the two funds. Next slide, please. So we do have all months reported for our sales tax revenue. We did end the year about $615,000 over what was budgeted. And just a reminder, we did budget conservatively due to us being in the middle of COVID when the budget was done. So I am available for any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, for the record, let's note Mr. Valls and Ms. Olivari are present now.
Thank you. Yes, we got that.
Any questions on the financial report from any of the board members? We good? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we do have a couple of regular agenda items. The first item is our election of officers, term ending, for the term ending September 30th of next year. So this would be effective today through September 30th of 2022. So at this time, we'll start with nominations. And I would like to nominate Lee Trujillo as president.
Second.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second for president.
The nominations don't require seconds.
Okay, so
Yes, that's true. So
we have a nomination for.
are there any other nominations?
Are there any other nominations on the board?
Okay, so then
Okay, hearing
close
none.
nominations. Yes, sir.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
So motion to, was a motion to approve
Motion
Mr.
carries.
Trujillo? Yes, sir, as president. Okay.
okay. I'd like to nominate Robert Tamez as vice president again. Any other nominations?
Want to spread the love?
How much they pay?
Or you want to spread the love?
Keep the bonus rate to zero.
Leah? What about her?
So is that
So
the
we only have one nomination?
nomination? Okay.
Robert. He's
So we
gonna
close.
retain.
Okay. Okay, so we have a nomination for Robert Tamez as vice president. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Well done,
Any
well done.
opposed? None? Okay. And then secretary?
I nominate Diana Summers.
Okay. Diana's not here to speak for herself.
Too bad. That's what happens if you miss a meeting.
So we have a nomination for Diana Summers as secretary.
Okay. Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no? Okay. That was easy. So does the new president come and do the remainder of the agenda, or do I just?
Yes, he
Yes?
does.
Okay.
Unless you want to finish.
Yeah, we'll do an immediate transfer of power.
Sounds so scary.
Thank you, board members, I appreciate that. I don't know how to work all the mechanisms in front of me, so I'll just be looking at y'all for comments. All right. Agenda item 4, motion approving the 2022 Corpus Christi B Corporation meeting calendar.
Chair, board members, Randy Almaguer, Senior Management Analyst. So this item before you is to set our calendar for next year. We're looking to do the same thing we did for this year, which is have a meeting every month. But if you look on there, January, we'll look to have our first meeting the second week due to a holiday. Also in June, we'll look to bump it a week before due to our holiday in June. Everything else is pretty aligned every month. That concludes my presentation. I stand by for any comments or questions.
Randy always has the best presentations.
Try to do it.
Question, John Vols?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Randy, so this is kind of a working document, right? We approve it in principle, and if something needs to change down the road, we can always change the date. Because I know we've had some meetings that have been canceled, but we're establishing the regular meetings, right?
Yes, these will be the regular meetings,
Okay.
and if agenda items increase, something happens, we have
Right.
to have a special meeting, or we reach out if there's nothing on there, we
canceled.
recommend to cancel, we can do that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other
Motion to
questions?
approve? Oh, sorry.
Mr. President?
Invitation, motion to approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Executive
Mr.
Director comments, if
Zanoni?
any?
Yeah, sorry about that. No comments this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Time is
141.
1:41. Thank you.
Okay. It's a little after 1:45, so we're going to start the A-Board meeting. Okay. Again, I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation, also known as the Type A Board. Today is Monday, November 15th. The time is now 1:48 p.m., and we'll start with roll call.
Okay, President Scott Harris,
Here.
Robert Tamez, Diana Summers is absent, Leah Oliveri, Lee Trujillo,
Here.
John Balls, Alan Wilson. Okay, we have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Okay, with, I think what we're going to do is take the meeting out of order. Before we do minutes and the financial report, we're going to do the election of officers first.
As a
So
note,
item G3.
President Harris, we need to do public comment before we take action on any item. If we could do public comment first.
So we have to do public comment first?
That's a state law here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Okay, well, maybe after public comment, I'll change things up then.
there you go.
Okay, I stand corrected. That's why we have the lawyer. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Amy. So item C on the agenda is public comment. Would anybody at this time like to make public comment? Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Shireen Delsuz. I live at 6030 Tapestry Street. And today's public comment that I have is about how a one-time investment in protected bike paths can lead to a lot of jobs. And I have a video that will explain in detail. If you could play it, please. What if I told you there was a one-time investment you can make for better employment rates? That investment is better bike paths. Here's how we make the connection. A study from the University of Massachusetts analyzed cycling projects and saw that an average of 11 jobs were created for every $1 million spent. So how would that translate into Corpus Christi? Look at this huge bike rack at this local homeless shelter. Bikes are what many homeless people use to get to work. So let's say a homeless person at the shelter got a job at the closest HEB. Now, according to Google Maps, it takes 39 minutes to walk there. With a bike, it only takes 12 minutes. When you can travel further and faster with a bike, that's more jobs you can apply for. However, some are scared to cycle because it's unsafe. But if it is safe, it's one less obstacle in the way of a job. Safe bike paths can connect more prospective workers to jobs they couldn't otherwise access. It's also important to reduce travel time because it gets really hot and you want to prevent heat-related health problems such as dehydration and even strokes. It just isn't feasible to walk an hour to work when you can do it in 10 minutes on a bike. Here's another real-life example. So let's say a high school student at Veterans Memorial wants to get an after-school job. School finishes at 4:05 p.m. Their shift starts at 5 at their closest HEB. Will they make it if they walk? Hardly. According to Google Maps, it takes 45 minutes to walk there. By the time they get out of the class, check out of their lockers, arrive to work, and put on their uniforms, it's a crunch. But if they rode their bikes, it only takes 13 minutes. The student would have time to eat something before working. Now, if there was a safe bike path, the parents would be more comfortable sending their high school kids to an after-school job at that area, such as Kohl's or the pet shop. Those are just two examples. There are so many people out there who are unable to own cars, but they are able-bodied and willing to work. Having an unsafe environment for cycling is like a clog in the local economy. Many agree. 320 people signed my petition. You can find it on ibikecc.com. Let's add protected bike paths that follow the design guides from the Federal Highway Administration. Not shared with sidewalks, not shared with roads. A protected bike path is another connection for many new employees to employers. Thank you for listening. I know the volume, the sound wasn't good, so I can email you the video if you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Nicely done.
Any further public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, and we don't have any written public comment?
No, sir, we do not.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we're going to take item G3, John, which is our election of officers for the term ending September 30th, 2022. And at this time, I'd like to nominate Lee Trujillo for president, Robert Tamez, vice president, and Diana Summers as secretary. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none,
You got to make a motion.
I'd like to move that we accept the nominations of Lee, Robert, and Diana.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Say no? Okay. Now, at this time, we'll continue with the rest of the agenda, and we'll switch over.
Thank you again. Excused absences, we had none. Minutes of the meeting. Everyone have an opportunity to review those minutes?
Okay.
Got a motion to approve?
Okay. Is there a second?
Need a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Heather.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board. Heather Hurlbert, Director of Finance. Just waiting for the presentation to come up. Okay. Oops, can you go back one slide? Thank you. Okay. So we'll start out, again, these are the financial statements for the 12-month ended September 30th. These are unaudited, but we do not anticipate any substantial adjustments to the balances that I'll be giving you. So for the Seawall Fund, we began fiscal year 21 with $44.7 million in fund balance, collected $7.8 million in revenues. Expenditures year-to-date are $22.2 million, with that primarily being transfers to the CIP for CIP projects. And our ending fund balance is $30.3 million. Next slide, please.
Quick question, Heather, on the
Yes.
on the Seawall Fund.
Yes.
Just like we have on the Type B presentation, is there a way at the bottom of the Seawall Fund to show the commitments through the next few years, to show what's committed?
So unlike the commitments are approved each year by the board. We don't have multiple year commitments like we do like in economic development. This is primarily for the Seawall Fund. So these do come to the board, and they are primarily the transfers over to the CIP, which the board approves during the budget. But what I can do is list the projects that have been funded through that are currently active, or balances that are remaining in the CIP fund. Would that meet your?
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
There is another way.
Leah?
Could take the capital budget
That's, yeah.
and just do it year by year, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah. Now, and just with the understanding that the capital budget is committed each
Yeah,
year.
the first year is the
Exactly.
only approved year, but
Yes.
then you can put some coding or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
So yes, I can definitely do that.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
On the seawall, can you show in the bottom of that, the projects that were done during that time, that we used 22 million?
That's what
That's what
we're
said?
planning on
Okay,
doing,
I
yes.
just want to make sure.
Yeah. No, so I'll show what has been funded through the current year, and then what, even though they aren't actually committed, what's planned for future years using CUL funds.
That's not what I asked.
Moving forward.
Okay?
What projects were these? Yeah.
So on the Arena Fund, we began the fiscal year with $16.5 million. Revenues to date are $7.8 million. Expenditures to date are $10.1 million, leaving an ending fund balance of the $14.1. And I can do the same thing on the Arena Fund if that would be assistant. So show what is in the current year commitments along with what the future year commitments.
Perfect, thank
or
you.
planned commitments are. Okay?
I don't care about, to see that, I don't care about the.
And then moving into the Economic Development Fund, we started the fiscal year with $6.3 million In fund balance, we had revenues to date of $3,000. Now, just a reminder that we are no longer funding this function within the Type A, that has moved to the Type B. Our expenditures year-to-date are $2.4 million, leaving an ending fund balance of 3.8, almost 3.9 million. So we do outstanding commitments of 2.8, and we'll review those in a second, leaving a fund balance available for commitments of a little over $1 million. Next slide, please. So then looking at the affordable housing commitments, we do have two commitments. One is for the fish pond development, and the other is for the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville for a total of $654,000. Next slide, please. Looking at our major
I'm sorry, Heather,
business.
1 second.
Sure.
Mr. Vols, you got a question?
Yes, can you go back on that real quick?
Sure.
On the affordable housing, is one of those projects not making it, or both?
So we're in the process of, Fish Pond is underway right now. That one is an active project. The Community Development Corporation of Brownsville, we are working with our homeless and housing, and they're following up on that to see if that still is a viable project, or if we need to de-obligate those funds.
Because that was the park over there near Country Club area, wasn't it? Or no?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah. They're about, we're going to de-obligate it? Okay. So yes, we have gotten confirmation that we will be de-obligating that in fiscal year 21. So you'll see that on the next time we present financials, that amount will be de-obligated.
Okay, so what happens to that park? Because I know y'all did you put it out for bid, basically, and it didn't make, so now what happens with that? We don't own that land, right? Is it the city that owns it, or the city owns it? Okay.
Continue to be a city park until
Okay.
there's any other discussion on it, right?
I mean, this is maybe a little off base, but since the city still retains it as a park, I know where it's at, but I haven't been over there in years. Is there a way, well, no, we can't use this money for that. Okay, thank you, that's good enough.
To improve it?
Yeah, to improve it.
We can look
using
at
some-
that, yeah. We'll put it back in the,
Parks
I
and
know
Rec.
it's, yeah, it's pretty much flat, it's just an empty
Yeah,
space
it's
today.
just,
so-
there's nothing on it. The last
Yeah.
time I saw it years ago, but it could have been improved. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll have the conversation with our park staff to see what to do next.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Ms. Olivari, you have a
Thank you,
comment?
Heather.
I'm just a little confused. Was that one of the ones that the voters approved?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Okay. Next slide, please. So on the major business incentives, we have about almost $2.5 million in commitments, and those will be paid out through fiscal year 23. That does include the new commitment to the Whataburger Field upgrades. And there was an additional amount that was requested by the Hooks. And so as we close out some of our projects, we'll look to see if those available balances are there. Next slide, please. And then our small business projects, these are our contracts that we have with the various, with Lift Fund, SCORE, Texas A&M, and Del Mar. Several of these are, the majority of them actually are 12-month calendar contracts, so we have a carryover. Even though they are committed in 21, they will go into 22 because of the way those contracts run off of a calendar year versus a fiscal year. So you'll see continued spending on some of those even though we're through with the fiscal year. And then our sales tax, we have all months reported, and so we did end the year $1.2 million with additional revenue over what had been budgeted. So I am available for, and that does conclude my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Heather.
Sure.
Moving on to agenda items. Mr. Randy?
So we're doing the calendar next, correct?
Yes.
We already did the, okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Who seconded? I'm sorry, I missed it. You
Thank
did.
you, thank you, Randy.
I already talked to Mike.
Could you state your name first so we could?
Moving on to Mr. Culbertson with the Texas A&M Civil and Industrial Engineering Programs.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, board members. Mike Culbertson with your Economic Development Corporation, here with good news. I want to bring you up to speed. Remember, this board was nice enough and far-looking enough to to fund expansion of the engineering programs at Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and civil and industrial. We were asked for an update. I have with me today Dr. Ahmad Ahmadi. He's the VP of Research and Innovation, and I have Jamie Barrera with the Vice President of Institutional Advancement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. And on behalf of Dr. Kelly Miller and A&M Corpus Christi, I want to thank you for your generous support from Type A, and I have some great news to share with you today. And I want to also apologize on behalf of Kelly that she was not able to be here due to a prearranged travel commitment. So with that, we can go ahead and get started. And because of Type A, we are able to announce that we are establishing a College of Engineering. We are very excited about this development. Oh, I'll be controlling from here. Thank you. The College of Engineering is definitely a key milestone for the A&M Corpus Christi University. We are very excited about becoming a university that would have its own College of Engineering. As you know, the engineering programs were part of the College of Science and Engineering, and with this new development, we will have a separate College of Engineering. This is very, very exciting, and it's actually a reflection of how our engineering programs have grown in the last few years. So going back to the topic of the Type A support for the civil and industrial engineering programs, mainly the award that we received from Type A is meant for infrastructure development. Mainly we are developing 5 different labs to be used across 12 different courses for the civil and industrial engineering programs. Not only that, but those labs will also be used for the students and the faculty for hands-on experiences and, of course, for research. So these are some of the labs. I have 3 on the first slide here. These 3 labs are going to be under the civil engineering program. We have the constructions materials testing lab. We have the structure dynamics lab, as well as the hydraulics and the hydrology labs. These are all for the civil engineering component. As for the industrial engineering, we have 2 labs. That's the augmented reality lab, as well as the human factors lab. So far, we have spent about almost $1.6 million out of the $2 million that Type A provided for the university. And you have here in front of you the breakdown of the funds. You will see that most of the funds went for the constructions material lab. That's definitely, some of the equipment there is very expensive. And we have the list of the details that we will be very happy to share that with you if asked. And so that would leave us with about $400K left, and we're planning on spending this money on mostly for industrial engineering startup packages for our faculty, meaning equipment and stuff like that. We anticipate that we will be completing the construction of those or finalizing the labs by the end of next year, by the end of 2022. So hopefully this is going to be ahead of the schedule, which we're originally have the award until the end of 2023. So we're hoping that by the end of next year we'll be done with all labs. And I want to actually share some sort of return on investment and sort of, again, thank you for your support. Because of the ability to build such infrastructure, we're able to attract really very distinguished talents. We were able to hire Dr. Nancy Suleiman. She's a postdoc actually at MIT in concrete. Her expertise is in concrete from the civil point of view, of course, and marine application and coastal applications for civil engineering. Very exciting, and it's a great fit. She's joining us in January, and she's coming from MIT again. And Dr. Miguel Montoya, he already started with us, and he is a Fulbright scholar. He's also joining us from Notre Dame. So great civil engineering faculty here. And in addition to Dr. Hongwei Xiao, who is actually joining us in January, and he's part of the leadership team for the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and he will be part of the full professor and be part of the industrial engineering program. Very exciting additions to our engineering program, and in fall 2022 we will be also adding another civil engineering faculty member, and the same for industrial engineering. So the program is growing, and like I said, we're very excited about the opportunities here. So again, as part of our curricula development, we are adding 12 new courses for the civil engineering program and 14 new courses for the industrial engineering program. Again, it's exciting times. So enrollment data. So some updates on the enrollment data here. We have numbers from fall 2020 and fall 2021. And we have the mechanical engineering program that started in 2009, and we have the electrical engineering program that started in 2016, and of course, our most recent additions, the civil and industrial engineering that started last fall, fall 2020, definitely in the middle of the pandemic, as you all know. So these are the current enrollment data we have. Speaking of students, actually, we are very happy to report that about 33% of our mechanical engineering students get their first job here in the Coastal Bend, and about 36% from electrical engineering do the same too. And overall, we have about 80% of our mechanical engineering students stay or get their first job in Texas, and about 57% for electrical engineering. Again, good numbers. Of course, we don't have still any graduates from the industrial or civil engineering programs. They are brand new, as you know. We're also pleased to report that we have secured a little over $5 million between state appropriations for the engineering program, as well as externally funded programs. So a total about, I would say, 5.1 or so in the last couple of years. With that, I conclude the presentation, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions, board? Leah?
Thank you. Appreciate it, Doctor. So some of these may be a little bit for
Sure.
Mike, but I think it's a great things y'all are doing out there. Dr. Montoya, what is his specialty?
It's actually in impact of wind on structures.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
And I have Dr.
apropos.
Chin here, who he can elaborate more if needed.
No, that's okay. I was just looking. So how many total graduates have y'all had?
Since the establishment of the programs? That's a great question, and I'm asking for, okay, Dr. Chin.
We have over 500 mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Sir, can you speak in the microphone? Thank you.
Yeah, we have over 500 students graduated from mechanical and electrical engineering programs.
And do you know how many are now board certified? Or do you know how many are now PEs?
Okay, so the last report, I saw like 1 or 2 PEs. PE, you need to take 2 steps.
Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah.
So there's 1 or 2, and that's where we are.
Yeah. I think it would be, one of the reasons I asked y'all to speak is because some of this was done before we even got on the board, and I think that the idea that the new college is going to be established is a great opportunity to advertise the fact that this has happened. I mean, even if it's 500, you're telling me something like 150 people, more than that, 180 have stayed in Corpus Christi to help our talent pool here. So appreciate that very much. Mr. Culberson, I have a question for you or somebody that's related. So when we did this, was it like 2 million or was it 2 million to finish labs? I'm a little
To finish
confused.
labs.
Okay.
It's all for things, machinery, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So y'all are now working on the plan of how you're going to spend the other $400 and some odd $1,000, or do you know?
Correct.
Okay.
We have some idea, but also as part of hiring those talents that I was referring to, we also accommodate some of their needs and
I
state
see.
of the art for those labs.
I see. So the new professors will ask you for certain types of things.
We'll contribute to our consideration of what exactly we need to have in those labs. Yes.
Okay. And I mean, I think it's great. I wasn't aware that we were, funding something like augmented reality, but I knew kind of mechanical, but I'm fine with it. I just think it's interesting for us to know sometime what ends up happening. So thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Mahdi. It's exciting times for the citizens of Corpus Christi, and it's important also for the citizens of Corpus Christi to know that the funding for these programs are coming directly from them through the Type A and Type B boards. So without those sales tax dollar allocations, our engineering program wouldn't be perhaps as far as it is now, or even getting started. So anytime there is an opportunity to have that kind of recognition on campus, to let the students know and other citizens know that it's their direct participation via sales tax that these programs are implemented. So if there's a plaques or any type of advertising you can put out there showing that it's Type A, Type B via sales tax through the citizens of Corpus Christi, I think that's important. Because at some point in time, 2025, I think, is when this allocation ends for 2023 for Type A, Type B. It's important that the citizens know that it's because of their efforts through the sales tax mechanism that these programs are being established.
And remember, they have, if you go out to the engineering labs, they have the marker that says partially funded by Type A on each building and each lab, so.
Thank you, Mike. I was just going to say that, but you're absolutely right. This is a great point, and I can assure you whenever there is an opportunity for us to acknowledge the support, not just from the board members, but from the citizens of Corpus Christi, we definitely do so. But it's a great recommendation. We'll continue to do so, for sure.
Mr. Wilson has a comment?
I was just thinking that we might consider sending thank you notes to tourists from San Antonio and Austin and Dallas that also help that sales tax, so they share in the burden.
Yeah, I like that.
Ms. Olivari, do you have a comment? Okay.
We want to keep some here.
Lee, I've got.
Yeah, and the comment Ms. Olivari was talking about, the follow-up reporting of, how many become PEs, how many are staying local. So if there's a resource or an outreach program to accumulate and gather that information and report back at some point in time, it would be important. So,
Absolutely.
thank you, Dr. Mahdi.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I've got one thing to.
Mr. Scott?
So, thank you very much for the
you.
presentation. As an engineer, I really like to see the enrollments going up over the last couple of years. That's great information, especially on the civil engineering side.
Right.
11 to 48 is huge. That's a lot of, that's really good news there. I would like to take an opportunity, if maybe I can reach out through Jamie. I want to see those labs. I want to take a tour of those labs. I'd like for y'all to offer that to the other board members as well. I don't think we were, and I wasn't there for like the opening of the.
We have not completely concluded them,
Yeah.
because that's part of the remaining 400. We're building them, or we have purchased, of course, like I said, a lot of equipment for these labs. but they are not being used currently. We're building the infrastructure, but absolutely would love to even to come and see where we are.
Okay, and Dr. Chen knows this, but if you all need anything from me, if you need my help, my assistance, mentorship of junior engineers, please reach out to me. I would love that. And
We'll take you up on that.
I'd like to hire some people, some students out of A&M Corpus Christi in the near future.
We appreciate that, and would definitely love to have you probably talk to our students as well, if this is something that you're interested in.
Yeah,
Dr. Chan?
no problem.
If I may add, even though our AR lab is not really conducting research now, but it's there. All right, so human factors and AR lab are there. So we have hardware, software working, and you're welcome. Send me a note. We'll give you a tour. All right.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic laboratories. And Dr. Xiao, so to speak, he was here today checking out the lab before he started in January.
One last comment. It may have been a year or so ago. I know that there was going to be an effort to work with other local laboratories, professional laboratories that do materials testing and so forth. Has that actually happened with the university? Is there coordination with those professionals in the field that do that stuff on a daily basis?
And I can see Dr. Chin can't wait to take this question, so you can take it.
So, yes, after that meeting we had, and we visited Hard Rock Lab, and we look at the equipment used, and some of our equipment actually will be the same, so we can prepare students before they graduate. They know what our local industry is using, so they can be ready for that. And Mr. Rock is also very supportive and offered the support for us bring students over there. So yes, we have made that a visit. Thank you, and other members that participated in that discussion. Yes, we did.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Mr.
thank you.
Voss, had a question?
Thank you, Lee. This question's for Peter. Peter, is there an opportunity for, some of these students, at least in the civil coursework, to maybe work with the city or come in as interns or, get engaged? Because, the city's got a massive civil works projects.
Yeah,
So-
there is. In fact, we're waiting to get some of them on board with us. We've hired students from Kingsville, engineering programs. In my 2 years here, we've had one just about every season.
Okay.
So it's valuable for us because engineers are hard to hire. So when we get them as an intern, and we kind of keep them on board, and then the job opening, they can come into our organization as a full-time employee.
Oh, good.
And so it solves two problems. One, they get firsthand practical experience and then a full-time job. But it helps us out also because they're hard to recruit. An engineering position is very hard to fill.
That's fantastic. Can they be a PE in training at the city?
Yes.
Or does it have to be in private sector?
No, they can be in training.
No.
Yeah, they can be mentored by a PE.
Because you have 500 graduates and we only have 2, that have fulfilled that course of action. So anything we can do to get those guys working here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Temez, please.
Mike, what other engineering programs have we funded in the last 10 years?
Well, you first started out with mechanical, and then you did electrical, and then the civil and industrial.
Yeah. So that's about what, about $8 million? About 10.
1.6, 2.4.
And then the drone system?
4.8, 4.9. 4 million? 4.
Okay, because I see that the building there, the College of Engineering, that's where I would like to see some recognition to the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation. All right.
And I think you can actually see it outside the engineering test lab. You turn in the first drive, and at that 4-way stop, it's just there. It's parked there is the engineering lab, and there's something. Oh, I'm sorry. If I could take you to the campus, to the island campus.
Yeah, and you guys were actually also recognized as a friend of engineering several years ago. So you have a plaque in that Ferguson Engineering building also recognizing you for that.
Okay.
So you got that going for you.
Yeah, but it's a little one like this.
The reason we don't know
Thank you.
this is because we haven't gone out there and seen it, so.
Anytime. And we can, yes, we will make this happen.
I think on our webpage, we should highlight
Yeah, we will.
that, the engineering lab.
Can we have a dinner banquet?
Jamie?
Just kidding.
We can have a virtual one.
No.
State of the university table?
We could have
Well,
it.
that'd be a question, because, for example, if everybody came, it'd have to be noted, right? So if three could go at once without? Okay. I do those walkthroughs when I do compliance, and the university has offered for the last 4 years to go out there and set something up. And I tell you, I'm just, I graduated from University of Texas in aerospace engineering, and it just, of course, that was 79, but.
What they know back then.
Yeah. But back then, the wind tunnel was cranked. But anyway, it's just eye-watering. It's just so impressive.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Locke.
you.
Item I, Executive Director comments.
Nothing prepared, just to congratulate the new board officers for your appointments. We let the mayor and council know already, and we'll let our staff know as well, the executive level staff, so they know the changes.
Thank you, Peter.
Yes, sir.
On the agenda items, is there a way to have an agenda item of future agenda items? I know that last meeting we talked about, I know John brought up affordable housing, and just a forum during our meeting so that we can potentially have a presentation or something at the next meeting. So we don't have a line item here that says future agenda items.
Right, that had been a practice that we had throughout our boards and commissions and city council. We actually got away from doing that.
Yes,
Rebecca
that's
can explain
correct.
a little
Yeah,
more.
we had it before, and then, as the city manager said, we've removed that. Board members do have the ability to add items to the agenda through your rules of procedure. So that was the thinking at the time, was to go ahead and do it that way.
So would the procedure be for them to just send a notice or send it to me and I
Send it to, they can send it to you, to the
Peter?
manager directly, and I make that request. And another way for them to do it is 3 or 4. Is it 3? I forget how many members. Let me look real
I
quick.
can't remember, it might even be 2. I think it's 3.
3 for this one, right? Yeah.
Okay, it
If
says
3
at
persons,
least
yeah.
2 members.
2.
It's 2 members of the board. So items may be placed on the agenda by the president, the vice president, or other presiding officer in the president's absence, the executive director, who is Peter, or at least 2 members of the board who shall confirm their request with the executive director.
So the easiest way for them to be call myself or Robert and get it on the.
Yeah, most items would be added by,
Okay.
I'm sure by yourself or by the executive director. And if that isn't an avenue that works, then 2 people could submit the request.
Thank
2
you,
board
Rebecca.
members could submit the request.
Yeah.
And we can verbalize that at, like now, at the conclusion of a board meeting?
No.
No, it has to be through
Yeah, because it's not captioned on the agenda.
okay.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's,
But it's just a phone call away, or just
Okay.
call us, we'll come meet with you if you'd like, or.
that's good for clarification.
Yes. But
So sometimes we ask for things and then they're like pending and it may take a month or 2 to get them, the presenter here or get the staff. There's no way we could just put pending future items on an agenda? Is that so we can track them or?
When you're talking
Do
about
you
a
maintain a
specific
list,
item.
or- I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah, when you're talking about a specific item, it'd be relevant to do so, but as the practice of having a standing issue or item on an agenda was not in the Robert's Rules of Order's best practice. We surveyed across the state, so from the city council all the way to like the type A, type B, we've gotten away from that practice.
Yeah, but as I understood it, Mr. City Manager, y'all were kind of going through the item and then all we're just saying is sort of a tickler that we have these future
do
pending
you-
ones or something, yeah.
You like maintain a list of upcoming items? I think that's what they're asking.
Oh,
Yeah, like
upcoming
a
items?
calendar of items.
Oh, okay. Is that what you're asking for, upcoming items? Oh.
However you need to.
Yeah, we have, so in our city council meetings, we prepare a 3-month calendar that shows major policy issues and then significant contracts, if you will. We can do something like that if you'd like, a 3-month roving calendar or
Yeah.
rotating calendar.
And we-
That would be great, at least
Yeah.
if there's something on our minds that we want to present, at least we know it's not there.
Okay,
And then
let's
we can
do
ask
that
for it.
then. So what we do for the city council meetings is every week when we send out the agenda, we also attach that document, and it shows a look in advance for 3 months. So we can do that for you.
Housing's coming up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
We
and I
can
was
do
gonna
that.
say,
Randy will help us with
yeah,
that.
we can definitely do that. One of the things I was gonna say is normally the conversation is between either myself and Randy and the chairman. We follow up. We have been, touching base with Scott on a monthly basis on, hey, we know these things are coming, this is when we're slotting it in, but we can definitely share that with the board as a whole.
Thank you.
Like before, we used to have an item here that said, new business. And we could request something for next meeting. Like, for example, I would like the engineer to bring us up to date on the water garden. What's the status of it? We discussed it last month, but we're not hearing nothing about it right now. See, yeah, so I would like to see that there, an item there saying, any new business.
And I think
We
that-
had it before, Rebecca, remember?
So
I
I'll be sending
remember
an email
future.
regarding
I
that.
don't remember that one. Mm-mm.
Okay. Thank you.
So I had 2 other things.
Go ahead, Aaliyah.
One other thing is I wanted to thank Mr. Harris for his years as presidency. Appreciate it very much. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, you only get in one, not both meetings. And then the other thing is, I think maybe if it would be okay, Mr. Zanoni, I don't know that everybody's gotten to meet your new assistant city manager.
Oh, you know what?
And-
Let's bring her up to
you
the
know,
microphone. Yeah, Andrea Gardner joined us about, was it 2 months ago, Andrea? Almost?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That
great.
is correct.
So Andrea came to us after an extensive local, national, and state and national search. Highly talented with expertise in economic development. And let me have her say a few words.
So,
Yes.
thank you. Well, and I appreciate the warm welcome that I've received in Corpus Christi. I got to have lunch with Leah, so thank you for your
You're
time.
welcome.
I appreciate that. And I've also had an opportunity to visit with Scott, but I haven't had an opportunity to visit with each one of you individually. So if your schedules allow, I would love to do that with you. And I look forward to working with the board and with our city manager to move this city in a direction that you would like to go as far as economic development. So you have a lot of great opportunities here, and I look forward to working with you.
Well, that's
Andrea
fantastic.
has about 25 years, right, in local government experience?
Yeah, 20 years, Peter.
20 years in local government experience.
He gave me extra 5. That's what happens when you work in city management, you gain
Right.
extra
She
years.
was a city manager in a few smaller communities
Yeah.
in Texas. And in each of those, she spent a lot of time in economic development. And so we aligned several of our economic development functions under Andrea. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate his confidence and yours as well from a board perspective, so thank you.
Well, fantastic. We'll definitely take you up on the lunch offer, so you can be expecting us to come 2 by 2. That'll start like next week, so thank you. All right, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Time is 2:31.
Thank you. Thank you.